Okay, photographers, creative, freelancers, studio owners, if you're still treating your business like it's 2023, you need a reality check because the 2025 UK budget has landed. Well, it landed last week. And what does it mean for you? Invoices, your petrol costs, your overheads, your profit. I'll be honest, it's going to sting. I mean, I want to disclose I'm not a financial qualified person. I am just a person who's quite interested in politics, which is a bit of a shock. So here on the Loud Lens, we're doing quite a grown-up podcast. I know, look at me. Um, it's gonna be basically about the budget, which you're gonna go, "Oh, I don't give a crap, Candy." You need to. We're not talking small increases here in our issues. We're talking about a systematic squeeze, frozen thresholds, pension perk changes, looming business rates evaluations. Yes, studio photographers, we need to eat on that one and rising costs pretty much across the board. So if you don't act now, 2026 will crush your margins. So in this episode, I'm breaking down what's kind of been confirmed. I mean, kind of because it is the government. What's still unclear and exactly how you could possibly need to shift your business mindset or risk being someone who burns out so hard. I mean, I want to preface these are just my opinions on the budget. You can tell me to go F myself. Go find. In fact, I strongly recommend that if you have never been to see a financial advisor, you definitely go see a financial advisor and speak to an accountant. When it comes to running a business, you need to go to people who are highly qualified, not just some rando like me on the old online social media networks telling you what they think. But I'm going to anyway because it's my podcast and it's me. So let's go. So what does the 2025 budget mean? Okay, so what we know so far or what's credible hearsay, right? It impacts quite heavily on businesses, freelancers, and that includes us photographers. I mean, I'll be honest, it seems like the businesses always get squeezed, but always the smaller businesses. You're not seeing the likes of the big ones like Amazon and all that. And we all know a lot of those aren't paying tax like everybody else because they managed to find loopholes with their very expensive accountants. I mean, there's a lot of more people talking about that. So go find those. I'm not going to delve into conspiracy theories and stuff like that here. But we are going to talk about something called the physical drag. I know, like it's not drag queens on a budget. No. The budget has kept income tax and personal allowance thresholds frozen for now, which means as inflation bites, as living costs rise, as your income hopefully rises, more of what you earn will get taxed, which is, in my opinion, a stealth tax, which is actually called like that's what a fiscal drag is. So while things are, you think, oh, I'm making more money, what actually happens is you're getting taxed elsewhere more heavily. So you might find you're not as well off. Okay. So I'm going to tell you now, for those of you are, I don't know, whether you're a freelancer, sole trader, limited company, director, whatever, especially those with fluctuating or sort of peaks and troughs income, that means take home pay is more under threat because you're gonna struggle. Even if you don't change rates, you kind of have to look at it, go, okay, I need to really try and plateau out my income, or at least have less peaks than I do troughs. Or something. No, less troughs than I have peaks, if that makes sense. We need to think about how we're running this business now, okay? I know when people first start, we're all like, oh, it's a roller coaster. I've earned loads of money this month. I've earned loads for the next month. And you know what? I've seen people who've been in business a very long time and now seeing that happen again. So I'm just going to say we need to focus on maybe getting a steady income as much as possible. Now, I know that's aspirational. Candy, that's really nice. I know. But I'm just going to put it out there. My accountant was like, the best thing people can do is now look at getting a steady income, like at least try and constantly have a certain level that we're always making. And for me, I would say I'm looking at a lot of my business retention services. So I'm looking at my business photography that I do. It's just like a subscription service. They pay for it monthly and they get me every month to come in and take photos for them. I'm looking at reaching out to clients at every quarter to make sure that we're getting their fresh content if they're even not on that service. There's little things I want to do, like events that I'm always at. I want to make sure I'm always booked in for those. Okay. The idea is I want to make sure that my month to month looks healthier. So when I do have a heavy month with like lots of work and I'm earning loads, it's fine. And then if there's a month where I'm not earning so much, it doesn't look as bad the fall, if that makes sense. Okay. So the government also signaled changes to benefits of pension contributions through salary sacrifice schemes and perks previously used by small business owners to manage income and the tax burden. I'm gonna say this is a red flag for many creatives using their company structure to siphon away profit into pension tax efficiently. So what would happen is some people would take their wages or what they've earned and put it into a pension. Now, I'm all for small business owners, creators, photographers to looking at a pension. I I find it very weird that here in the United Kingdom, particularly, we have a funny thing about talking about money. Like, we don't enjoy talking about money. We don't want people to know about money. We we don't talk to our kids much about money. And something I got very early on was a pension. I think I was 18. I got a private pension, I've got a private pension, thing from my grandparent, a kind of grandparent. It's all getting very confusing now, isn't it? So I had that. I also have my former military pension. I also have the state pension. But I recommend right now, whatever your age, at least go see a pension advisor, go see a financial advisor. Now, depends on where you are in life, what your situation is. I think people do need to think about their long-term lifestyle, and pensions is something that I don't see many people when they're talking about setting up a business talk about on when it comes to pensions, and it does shock me how few of us talk about this because we are not going to be doing this forever as much as we love to. And we need to be looking out, future proofing ourselves. And one of those is a pension. I know you're going to get bored of me saying this, but I do think we need to. I'm not trying to scare you. Everyone goes, oh, it's extra money. Yeah, it is. It is extra money. I'm not going to deny that. And when money's tight, it looks like another thing. But when you're older and can't work, money will be tighter then. And we all know the government won't look after us. Please, 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 at least go have a conversation. A lot of them are free. Please go do it. I thought this is a very grown up podcast. It's very grown up, isn't it? Who am I? Who am I? So, if you're banking on pension contributions to offset taxes or income swings, that advantage is definitely shrinking, and you're going to find that I have a funny feeling they might even stop it altogether. I think it'll be absolute uproar. A lot of people who are affected by this, I will say, is those who are the higher earners. I know that my friend who, well, let's for example, my friend, she's a solicitor, right? Not even a photographer. She's a private solicitor. She doesn't work for any like legal aid or anything. She's in a legal firm that's bougie as F, right? They do contributions from the pension via their salary, and salary sacrifice scheme, and they save a lot on tax. They pay a lot less tax on their wages then. The problem is that's now closing. I think it's up to 2,000 you can only contribute. So she's like used to contribute quite a lot. When I say she's bougie, she's bougie. It's gonna hit her hard. And if we go, oh boo-hoo, she's earning a lot. She does live in London. It's a requirement of a job. And we all know London's expensive. We all know London's expensive. My one of my other friends is literally living in a room that can barely fit a double bed in, and she pays 1,800, I think, to live in that room. So yeah, it's not cheap to live in London. I'm not trying to say, oh, boo boo her, oh, living her best life, but for those of you who have been, I know a lot of other photographers we talk about this when it came out because we were in a little Facebook chat group. They were saying they do this and they're a bit worried. Now, the one that I think is going to hit the hardest on photographers, and it's even got me a little bit bum squeaky, is business rates and commercial premises reevaluation on the horizon. One of the biggest looming risks to businesses operating from a commercial premises, so studios, hired units, converted warehouses, rented studio, whatever it is, they might face reevaluation, and that will incur different business rates, possibly under the revised commercial property regime. And what that means for small studios, if your premises market value has risen since the last valuation, your business rate bill will jump, possibly severely. This is quite shocking, in the fact that, you know, we're going to have everything reevaluated. Now, I have this funny idea, and I had it in my head, and you might think I'm absolutely bat crazy for this. You know how the mansion tax came in, that if your house was over 2 million, you'd have to pay a certain amount of tax every year on that property. I'm wondering if people are now going to try and push their property value down so they don't pay it, and that might have a knock-on effect, but I don't know if it really will in this case. Look at me, conspiracy theory coming out. I do think what we're gonna see is a change in how much things cost to rent a studio now, and to go and hire a studio for a day or an hour, because they're gonna have rising costs when they're reevaluated, which means, we're gonna be paying more. So we need to again look at what price we're at. Those of us who own a studio, I'm gonna have mine. I think mine was just reevaluated actually a year and a half ago, so I should be okay for a little bit. But you never know. It is the government. But I do think you need to look at this, like, check these things. I know it's right before Christmas. We're all getting really scared, but the more we know, the better it is for us, I think. So yeah, God, this is a really grown up one. I'm gonna have a swig of my coffee. It's decaf, still decaf free, by the way, guys. Who am I? Mm. Love to it was like a bougie flat white, from beans ground on the thighs of virgin queens, but it's not. It's just instant because I'm not bougie. So there's no specific relief for freelancers or small businesses, despite there being broad language about supporting small businesses and about economic growth. These are just, I'm be honest, there wasn't any targeted relief towards micro businesses or anything like that. And we definitely didn't hear anything towards the creative industry, which we know is really suffering right now. And you could talk about the rise of AI and all that, but I mean, like, we know that it's always suffering. It's just suffering more and more, which means we're kind of getting lumped in with everyone else, which is fine. But I will just say that a lot of these changes seem to favor bigger, stable businesses, not the freelance, not seasonal or project-based creatives, which is a worry. So for me, if you're a photographer that works on seasonal things, maybe you do just family minis, maybe you do school photography. I do think that we need to start thinking of ways to earn money throughout the whole year, uh, and really try and push that earning, if you like. Even before, right, and the other thing that is gonna hit everyone, I just think that's obvious, rising costs everywhere and hidden overhead. So we're looking at travel, petrol, maintenance, your photography energy. So before we factor in tax and rates, costs are rising. We know this across energy bills, living costs, transport, petrol, materials, gear, they're all up. 20 photography drives to shoots, hauls gear everywhere, travels regionally for weddings, events, or commercial jobs. These costs are going to become a bigger chunk of every job's overhead. Okay. So prepare for this. So if you're just sat here now going, okay, I'm doing my prices for 2026, go back and look at them. Go back and look at them. So what's it mean for us as photographers, from my opinion? Again, I'm going to state this again. This is my opinion. And as everybody, everyone has an opinion. Like we all have a bum hole, and I could very easily be talking out of mine. But you're here on my podcast listening. So if you're already interested, please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another one of these douchebag episodes. But let's talk about it. I promise they're not all as hot and heavy as this one, all right? Let's put those budget considerations into real world photography terms, okay? So if you raise your shoot prices to cope with inflation, that extra income gets taxed harder than before because thresholds are static, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't raise them, but you might have to raise them a little bit more than you think you do, okay? Pension based tax strategies are becoming less useful, so long term financial planning for freelancers gets shakier, right? I know. Don't This is why I'm saying go talk to a pension advisor. If you run a studio, rent a space, or use a hired unit, you may see an increase in overheads via business rates. Now, I don't know how it's going to affect the small business rates relief, but we do have to think about what's going on. Okay, you need to have a look at it. It may kill profitability unless you adjust your rates accordingly. Those photographers amongst us who travel, so that's myself included, wedding photographers, event photographers, anyone who shoots on location commercially, goes around, feel free to realize that your overheads are going to creep up. We know this, but everything was going to start eating to profits. This means our insurance is going to go up, our petrol's going to go up, our transport's going to go up. I mean, insurance on gear and on our cars. Okay. Low priced, high volume, undercharging photographers usually have the worst bet overhead. So the reason I'm saying these is I'm going to tell you now, if you are priced yourself in the lower market and you shoot a lot, you are going to be hit the hardest. Okay. You are going to be hit so hard. One, because your overheads are going to be even bigger, which means you're going to also have to battle against rising costs, the tax increase. And that means what little you make already is going to be shrinking rapidly. Okay. We have gone on and on about this. Charge your worth and charge your costume business, not what you just assume. There is no point running yourself ragged for small amounts of profit, and especially now with this budget. Okay. In short, the era of cheap sessions and the hustle volume is ending. All right. The only way to survive a business and is to price it as one and stop thinking of it as a freaking, oh my God, a hobby. Do you know what? I'm literally recording this and I just happen to be like, I have Facebook open on another screen on my desk here. And there's literally right here, I'm offering 30 quid family portraits, get all the images at a location to suit you within and then the area. I'm not going to out them too heavily. I'm sorry. Why even before this budget were we doing this? Why? Why? I get that you maybe 30 quid means a lot to you, and it probably does. But if you don't understand that that 30 quid is gone, even in today's budget, you're probably left with what? 4 quid? That's not even enough to buy a coffee at Starbucks, okay? Well, it could, just a very basic Americano probably. Ugh. Anyway, what are you doing? What are you doing? So what have you got to do now, in my opinion? If you want to make it through 2026 without burning out or going bankrupt, here's a checklist. Reprice everything properly. Build your packages that cover all your costs. Time, shooting, editing, travel, petrol, gearwear, admin, taxes, pension, retirement top-ups, overhead, studio rent, utilities. Don't just look to bump it up 10 or 20, 30 quid. Reevaluate right back from scratch with realistic cost assumptions, okay? Right? Track travel and vehicle expenses, no excuses, mileage, fuel costs, wear and tear, insurance, log it as much as you can. There's apps for it. I have the QuickBook app where I can log all my mileage. I keep every receipt. I have to. You have to get into this. Okay. I'm not saying QuickBooks is the answer for everybody, but also remember that we're looking to make tax digital. That's coming into play. So you need to think of a digital system which you can do all this. Okay. Decide whether to include a travel surcharge per job or build a travel inclusive rate if you work more locally. So if you work in, like for me in Northampton, North Hampshire, I will probably just say, okay, I'm traveling, I'm going to add that cost in. Whereas if I'm going a bit further afield, I would say the mileage cost on top of that. Okay. If you have a studio like me, contact your landlord and look at potential business rates reevaluation, factor possible increases into your pricing, or reevaluate whether you can shift it to location based or home studio work. I do not want people giving up their studios unless they absolutely have to, because I think it's such a benefit. But I also think we need to really think about how we're gonna do this. Okay. In the UK, I don't think we're the greatest to be able to do location based because our weather is so interchangeable. But I definitely think we need to look at increasing our prices. But those options are there for home studio. Obviously, when you do home studio, just as a side note, as a friend's just found out, you need to check that you're even allowed to operate a business from your home, because just because you might own it or rent it, you might have it in your contract or your decree or registry that you can't. Okay. Those of you who do have pensions, that's me. We need to reassess our tax pension saving strategies. If I don't do salary sacrifice, I'll be honest. Pension-based tax models form part of your financial planning. You need to revisit them, speak to your accountant, and I say find one if you don't have one. They are just go find one. Reevaluate who your clients are. The cheap clients paying bargain prices are now the most expensive client to serve, okay? They are the ones that are going to cost you the most because they're not giving you enough money to do the job, essentially, because you've now got rising costs. In fact, you are going to be essentially paying yourself out of what little you've made from other clients to do these jobs. Focus on clients who value your time, skills, and charging exactly what it's worth. Now, I've spoken quite a lot about what does it mean you're worth, and I have done a whole podcast episode on that, right? Go listen to it. It's further down. Go listen to it. And because people talk about it, but they don't actually know what it means. All right. Corporate, commercial, premium weddings, commercial portraits, look at licensing, all these little ways to make a little bit extra money on the side, but also who you're going to start aiming for. I also believe in building a financial buffer. The aim, I'm just going to say it's an aim, is to save a portion of each job's profit in a buffer fund for your tax, obviously, for emergencies and overhead spikes. This helps with the unpredictable cash flow, especially if rates, taxes, and costs surge. All right. I'm not trying to scaremonger us here, but we know that life is tough out there already for people who have a regular 9 to 5 job, right? So for us who don't, it's getting harder. I would also consider diversifying income streams. Instead of relying solely on shoots, look at mentoring, workshops, licensing, prints, stock imagery, teaching, commercial contracts. Diversify reduces reliance on volume and spreads the risk across. So for me personally, I have various different income streams. One of them is from social media. I have another TikTok I have a life away from photography as a TikTok person. Don't laugh at me where I talk about politics, believe it or not, and social things, right? I know, right? Who am I? I'm very serious in it. I had a bit of comedy. I have that one. And that earns me a couple of £100 a month, right? I will just say a lot of that I use towards projects for the local community, like Community Larder, but that's an income. I also mentor, I also teach. I have a regular teaching slot with photography. I also do one-to-one online. Again, it's mentoring, I know. And I also do my seminars that you've seen me going around doing. And I also do, like I said, the script service. I don't just rely on people coming into my studio. I try my hardest to be doing other things. So I feel like, oh no, I didn't get many bookings in the studio. Oh, that's why, because I was in London 2 days working. I was over there doing full sessions of mentoring. I'm currently got 3 mentoring students coming in next week. So I'm trying to diversify, okay? Now, I'm not here to sugarcoat things because the ugly truth is if you're carrying on like 2024 never happened with lower prices, casual carrying, I would just say stop doing it for the exposure because you're on a fast track to burnout and business collapse. The budget hasn't been designed to support small businesses, in my opinion, creatives especially. It's designed to extract revenue and artists get lumped in. We are in a creative industry. We already know AI is causing a few issues for a lot of creatives and I say a few, quite a lot. We aren't getting looked after as a small business owner. In my opinion, I don't think we are. I'm not here to scaremonger. We have a lot to do. You've got two choices though. You can stay naive and hope costs won't crush you and carry on doing what you're doing and pray your clients don't flinch. Or you could treat your photography like a real business. So if you choose the latter, price properly, know your costs, track expenses, and value your time. Because if you don't, people paying the price will be you. You will be paying for it. Okay. So I get it. This is a very heavy episode, and it's not one you expect from me, is it? I imagine. So if it has rattled you, good. Maybe it should. But I want to know, how often do you reprice your work? How often do you look at your cost and go, actually, I need to put this up? And do you log your travel and overhead? Do you have a studio? Are you thinking about giving up? Are you going to rent it? Are you going to maybe co-share it? And are you looking at getting a pension? I want to hear from you who actually have pensions. Hit me up on the old Instagram, the Loud Lens Facebook group. And I hope that this one has been a bit of a shock to your system because it's not something I normally talk about on here, but I wanted to because I think it's really important. If you are a photographer and you are charging people for your services or offering your services to strangers, it's a business. So start treating it like one. Sorry, I'm not very well today, as you can hear. But anyway, I'm sick to death of people telling me, "Oh, I don't get paid for this. I don't get enough for this. I'm struggling to make money." And I look and go, "Yeah, because you treat it like a hobby, right?" The budget doesn't care about your passion, okay? It cares about your pound signs, all right? So you need to actually step up, right? And start looking at this and going, okay, I need to put my big girl pants on and treat it like a business. Because I'm sick to death of people going into Facebook groups and other places complaining on the internet about why this has happened, why is it? And it's the same advice. Do you know your cost of doing business? No. Then why are you running a business? Like the basic fundamentals. And this goes to all you photography tutors and mentors out there who don't talk about the business side. Okay. If we're going to teach people to run a business and how to be a photographer, it's not just how to click a freaking button. It's about how to make this into a business, okay? It's the marketing, it's the business plan, it's the tax stuff. Now, you don't have to know everything about tax, but you certainly have to advise them, hey, you need contracts, you need to know about GDPR, you need to have taxes before you can even go out there into the great world and offer yourself as a photographer, okay? Because I'm going to get really ranty. I'm fed up of seeing these people then whining on groups going, oh my God, what have I done? I've now got this tax bill. Oh, I'm in so much trouble. This client wants that money back. I've spent all the money, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Anyway, welcome to my rant. See you all in the next episode. Goodbye.